Have you ever felt confused when a woman suddenly starts acting distant, even though everything seemed to be going perfectly? She replies a little slower, becomes less expressive, and gives you more space than before. Your first instinct might be to think she's losing interest. But what if the opposite is true? What if the distance you're noticing isn't a sign that she wants to leave, but a sign that her feelings have become deeper than you're able to see? Human psychology is rarely as simple as it appears. When emotions become stronger, people don't always move closer. Sometimes they become more careful, more observant, and more protective of their hearts. A woman who genuinely likes someone may not always express it through constant attention or endless messages. Instead, she may slow down, quietly evaluate the relationship, and look for emotional consistency before allowing herself to become fully attached. In this video, we're going to explore the hidden psychological reasons why a woman may pull away even when she likes you more than you think. We'll discuss emotional vulnerability, self-protection, trust, consistency, and the subtle behaviors that reveal genuine interest without relying on myths, manipulation, or mind games. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of female psychology and learn how emotionally mature men respond in situations that often confuse everyone else. If you enjoy psychology-based relationship content that is practical, respectful, and backed by real human behavior, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. We upload fresh videos regularly to help you better understand relationships, female psychology, emotional intelligence, and healthy communication. Now let's dive into today's topic. One of the biggest misunderstandings in relationships is assuming that emotional distance always means someone is losing interest. In reality, human emotions are often much more complicated than they appear on the surface. Sometimes the moment a woman begins to genuinely like someone, her behavior becomes less predictable rather than more obvious. Instead of moving closer, she may suddenly become quieter, take longer to reply, or seem less available than before. This shift can feel confusing, especially if everything seemed to be going well. However, psychology suggests that emotional closeness can also increase emotional vulnerability, and vulnerability often makes people more cautious. When feelings become meaningful, the emotional stakes become higher. A casual conversation carries very little emotional risk because there is almost nothing to lose. But when someone starts imagining the possibility of a deeper connection, every interaction begins to matter more. A delayed reply, a misunderstood message, or an uncertain response can suddenly feel significant. Rather than acting impulsively, many people naturally slow themselves down as a way of managing these stronger emotions. This isn't necessarily a conscious decision. It is often an automatic emotional response designed to protect inner stability. Many women value emotional security just as much as emotional attraction. If they notice themselves becoming emotionally invested, they may instinctively create a little space to better understand their own feelings. This distance gives them time to separate excitement from genuine compatibility. Instead of allowing emotions to make every decision, they begin observing whether the connection feels safe, respectful, and consistent over time. From the outside, this pause may look like withdrawal, but internally it can actually reflect a growing awareness that the relationship has become important. Another factor is the fear of disappointment. When someone matters, the possibility of being hurt also becomes more real. Rather than rushing into deeper emotional attachment, some women prefer to move carefully until they feel confident that trust is developing naturally. They may continue showing interest, but in quieter ways that are less obvious than before. Their attention shifts from creating excitement to evaluating reliability. They become more interested in how a person behaves consistently rather than how charming they appear during the first stages of attraction. This is why reacting with panic can unintentionally create more distance. If a man immediately assumes rejection, starts demanding reassurance, or overwhelms her with constant messages, he may increase the emotional pressure she is already trying to manage. Healthy relationships rarely grow through urgency. They grow through patience, emotional stability, and mutual respect. Confidence is often communicated not by chasing every moment of uncertainty, but by remaining calm when emotions become more complex. It is also important to remember that every individual expresses emotions differently. Personality, past experiences, attachment style, and life circumstances all influence how someone responds when attraction becomes stronger. Some people become more expressive, while others become more reflective. Neither response automatically reveals the depth of their feelings. The most reliable indicator is not a single behavior, but a consistent pattern over time. Instead of focusing only on temporary emotional distance, pay attention to the overall quality of the connection. Does she still make time for meaningful conversations? Does she remember small details about you? Does she show respect, curiosity, and genuine engagement when you are together? These quieter signs often reveal more than dramatic displays of affection. Real attraction is not always loud. Sometimes it appears through careful decisions, thoughtful actions, and a gradual willingness to build trust. Understanding this psychological pattern helps replace unnecessary anxiety with emotional maturity, creating space for healthier communication and stronger relationships. As feelings become stronger, many people begin protecting their emotions more carefully. This is a natural psychological response that is often misunderstood. Instead of becoming more expressive or constantly seeking attention, a woman who genuinely likes someone may become more thoughtful about how much she reveals. This change does not automatically mean she has lost interest. In many cases, it reflects the fact that the connection has become emotionally important to her. The more someone values a relationship, the more they may want to avoid unnecessary disappointment or emotional imbalance. During the early stages of getting to know someone, emotions usually feel light and uncomplicated. Conversations are enjoyable, expectations are low, and there is little pressure. However, when attraction starts turning into emotional attachment, everything begins to carry greater meaning. A simple conversation can influence her mood, and small actions may leave a lasting impression. Rather than allowing herself to become completely emotionally dependent on the outcome, she may naturally slow down and create healthy emotional boundaries. This emotional self-protection is not about playing games or testing someone's patience. It is often about maintaining emotional balance while trying to understand where the relationship is truly heading. She may ask herself important questions without saying them out loud. Is this person emotionally consistent? Can I trust his actions as much as his words? Does he respect my boundaries? Is he genuinely interested in building something meaningful, or is he simply enjoying the excitement of the moment? These silent questions shape her behavior more than most people realize. Because of this internal evaluation, she may stop initiating every conversation or become less available than before. She is not necessarily expecting someone else to chase her. Instead, she wants the relationship to develop naturally without feeling that she has to carry all of the emotional responsibility herself. Healthy attraction grows when both people contribute equally, and emotional balance becomes more important than constant attention. Psychology also suggests that people often observe behavior more closely once emotions become serious. She may pay attention to how someone reacts when plans change, when communication slows down, or when minor disagreements occur. Anyone can appear confident and caring during exciting moments, but emotional maturity is often revealed during ordinary situations. By taking a small step back emotionally, she gives herself the opportunity to observe character rather than being influenced only by attraction. Many men mistakenly interpret this quieter behavior as rejection and immediately try to fix something that may not actually be broken. They may send repeated messages, demand explanations, or seek constant reassurance. Unfortunately, these reactions can create emotional pressure that makes genuine connection more difficult. Confidence is rarely demonstrated through urgency. Instead, emotional confidence is shown through patience, understanding, and respecting another person's pace. At the same time, emotional self-protection should not be confused with complete emotional unavailability. A woman who genuinely values the connection will often continue showing interest in subtle but meaningful ways. She may remember details from previous conversations, ask thoughtful questions, support your goals, or make time for quality conversations even if they happen less frequently. These actions often communicate more than frequent texting or dramatic romantic gestures. Strong relationships are built on emotional safety rather than emotional intensity. When both people feel respected, understood, and free to express themselves without fear of judgment, trust develops naturally. Emotional protection gradually fades as confidence in the relationship grows. Instead of seeing temporary distance as a negative sign, it can sometimes be understood as part of the natural process of building trust. Real emotional connection is rarely rushed. It develops through consistency, mutual respect, and the quiet confidence that both people are choosing each other for the right reasons rather than acting out of fear or insecurity. One of the least understood aspects of attraction is that genuine feelings can sometimes make a person feel like they are losing control over their emotions. While movies often portray love as something that encourages people to express everything they feel immediately, real life is usually far more complicated. As emotional attachment begins to grow, many women become increasingly aware of how much influence another person now has over their emotional well-being. That realization can be exciting, but it can also feel unfamiliar and even intimidating. Instead of moving closer without hesitation, they may instinctively create a little distance to regain emotional balance. Every person has a desire to feel emotionally secure and in control of their own life. Before developing feelings for someone, daily routines, personal goals, and emotional decisions are usually made independently. However, when someone special enters that emotional space, priorities can begin to shift without conscious effort. Thoughts become more frequent, expectations naturally develop, and the person's actions suddenly carry greater emotional weight. For someone who values independence, this change can feel overwhelming, even if the attraction itself is genuine. This is why emotional distance should not always be interpreted as emotional rejection. Sometimes it reflects an internal adjustment rather than a change in feelings. She may simply be trying to understand how this new connection fits into her life without allowing emotions to completely take over. Rather than making decisions based only on excitement, she may prefer to slow down and observe how consistently the relationship develops over time. This thoughtful approach often protects both her emotional health and the future of the relationship. Psychology suggests that people who are emotionally mature often avoid making major relationship decisions during moments of emotional intensity. They understand that strong attraction can sometimes create idealized perceptions. By taking a small step back, they allow themselves to evaluate the relationship more objectively. Instead of asking only, "Do I like this person?" they also begin asking, "Do I feel emotionally safe with this person? And can I trust the way this relationship is developing?" These questions become increasingly important as feelings deepen. Another reason she may appear more reserved is that vulnerability naturally increases with emotional investment. The more someone matters, the greater the possibility of disappointment if things do not work out. This awareness does not mean she expects failure. It simply means she recognizes that meaningful relationships involve emotional risk. Creating temporary space allows her to process these emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Unfortunately, many people misunderstand this stage and respond by increasing pressure. They may constantly seek reassurance, overanalyze every message, or assume that something is wrong simply because communication feels slightly different. These reactions often create unnecessary stress for both people. Genuine attraction grows best when each person feels free to maintain their individuality while gradually building emotional closeness. Trust cannot be forced through constant attention. It develops through consistent behavior over time. A confident response is not about pretending not to care. It is about remaining emotionally steady while allowing the relationship to progress naturally. Respecting her pace communicates security, patience, and emotional maturity. When she sees that you are not easily shaken by temporary uncertainty, she is more likely to feel safe expressing her own emotions honestly. Emotional stability often creates a stronger foundation than dramatic displays of affection. In healthy relationships, neither person has to sacrifice their independence in order to experience closeness. Instead, both individuals gradually learn that emotional connection and personal freedom can exist together. As trust grows through shared experiences, honest communication, and consistent respect, the fear of losing emotional control slowly fades away. What once felt uncertain begins to feel safe, and the distance that initially seemed confusing often gives way to a deeper, more genuine connection built on confidence rather than impulse. One of the biggest differences between short-term attraction and lasting emotional connection is the value placed on consistency. In the beginning of a relationship, excitement often comes naturally. Conversations feel effortless, compliments are frequent, and both people are eager to make a positive impression. While these moments are enjoyable, they do not always reveal whether a relationship has the potential to become emotionally stable. As a woman's feelings grow deeper, her attention often shifts away from emotional intensity and toward consistent behavior. She begins asking herself whether the person she likes behaves the same way over time, not just during exciting moments. This is why a woman who genuinely likes you may seem slightly more reserved after the initial excitement fades. It is not necessarily because her attraction has disappeared. Instead, she may be observing whether your actions continue to reflect the same level of respect, honesty, and effort that first attracted her. Anyone can be charming for a few days or weeks, but emotional trust is built through repeated actions, not temporary enthusiasm. Psychologically, consistency creates a sense of emotional safety. When someone's words and actions match, the brain gradually becomes more comfortable investing emotionally in the relationship. On the other hand, unpredictable behavior creates uncertainty. If communication is warm one day and distant the next without explanation, it becomes difficult to understand where the relationship is heading. Rather than confronting every inconsistency immediately, many women quietly step back and observe whether the pattern continues before making emotional decisions. This period of observation is often misunderstood. Some men believe they need to create more excitement or constantly impress her to maintain attraction. In reality, emotional maturity is often far more attractive than dramatic gestures. Keeping promises, communicating honestly, respecting boundaries, and remaining dependable build trust in ways that grand romantic moments cannot replace. These everyday behaviors demonstrate character, and character becomes increasingly important as emotional attachment grows. A healthy relationship is rarely sustained by constant excitement alone. Life naturally includes busy schedules, stress, and unexpected challenges. During these ordinary moments, consistency becomes the foundation that keeps two people connected. When a woman notices that your kindness, patience, and respect remain steady regardless of circumstances, she is more likely to feel emotionally secure. Real attraction grows strongest when excitement is supported by reliability. While passion may capture attention in the beginning, consistency is often what transforms attraction into genuine trust and creates the confidence needed for a meaningful, long-lasting relationship. When a woman begins to develop genuine feelings for someone, her focus often shifts from simple attraction to understanding the person's true character. During the early stages of getting to know someone, emotions can be influenced by chemistry, excitement, and shared interests. However, as the connection becomes more meaningful, many women naturally become more observant. They are no longer paying attention only to how someone makes them feel in the moment. Instead, they start noticing patterns of behavior that reveal emotional maturity, integrity, and long-term compatibility. This Quiet observation is rarely obvious. She may not announce that she is evaluating the relationship, nor will she necessarily ask direct questions about every concern she has. Instead, she watches how you respond in everyday situations. She notices whether you treat people with respect, whether your actions match your promises, and whether your behavior remains consistent even when life becomes stressful. These ordinary moments often reveal more about someone's personality than carefully planned romantic gestures. Psychology suggests that trust develops through repeated experiences rather than isolated moments. Anyone can appear confident, kind, or attentive when everything is going well. The real test of emotional stability often comes when plans change unexpectedly, disagreements occur, or communication becomes temporarily difficult. A woman who is emotionally invested may quietly observe how you handle these situations because they provide valuable information about how a future relationship might feel. This does not mean she is searching for perfection. Emotionally mature people understand that everyone makes mistakes. What often matters more is how someone responds after those mistakes. Do they take responsibility for their actions? Can they communicate honestly without becoming defensive? Are they willing to listen and grow? These qualities create emotional safety, which is one of the strongest foundations of a healthy relationship. Because she is observing rather than reacting immediately, her behavior may appear calmer or more reserved than before. Some people mistakenly assume this means she has become less interested. In reality, she may simply be giving herself time to understand whether the connection is built on genuine compatibility instead of temporary excitement. This thoughtful approach helps prevent emotional decisions based solely on attraction. The healthiest response during this stage is authenticity. Trying too hard to impress someone or constantly seeking approval often creates unnecessary pressure. Genuine confidence comes from being consistent, respectful, and emotionally balanced. When your actions naturally reflect honesty, patience, and reliability over time, there is little need to convince anyone of your value. Quiet observation often leads to deeper trust because real character is revealed through everyday behavior. In the end, meaningful relationships are not built on perfect words or dramatic moments, but on the steady confidence that both people can rely on each other, even when life is ordinary. One of the biggest mistakes men make when a woman starts pulling away is assuming that they need to react immediately and intensely. The moment communication changes, many begin overthinking every message, checking response times, and searching for signs of rejection. This emotional panic often leads to behaviors that create even more distance. Excessive texting, constant reassurance seeking, or repeatedly asking what is wrong can make the interaction feel pressured instead of natural. Ironically, the fear of losing the connection can cause someone to behave in ways that weaken it. Psychologically, when a person senses emotional pressure, they may feel less comfortable expressing themselves freely. If a woman is already trying to understand her feelings or process the growing importance of the relationship, being confronted with urgency can make her feel overwhelmed. Instead of feeling emotionally safe, she may feel responsible for managing another person's anxiety. Healthy attraction develops best when both individuals are allowed space to think, feel, and communicate at a comfortable pace. A confident response does not mean becoming cold, distant, or pretending not to care. It means remaining emotionally steady. Emotional maturity is shown through calmness, patience, and respectful communication. If she takes a little space, the healthiest approach is usually to maintain your normal life, continue your responsibilities, and avoid turning the relationship into the center of every thought. This communicates that you value the connection without becoming emotionally dependent on constant reassurance. Another common mistake is trying to force clarity too quickly. Some men demand immediate answers about where the relationship is going or whether she still likes them. While honest communication is important, timing also matters. When someone is processing emotions, pressure for instant certainty can feel uncomfortable. Real trust develops gradually through consistent experiences, not through urgent conversations driven by fear. The strongest response is often simple consistency. Continue treating her with respect. Communicate honestly when appropriate, and let your actions remain stable regardless of temporary uncertainty. This creates emotional safety, which is one of the most attractive qualities in a healthy relationship. When a woman sees that you can handle ambiguity without becoming reactive, she is more likely to feel comfortable opening up about her own emotions. In the end, attraction is not strengthened by chasing every moment of distance. It is strengthened by emotional balance, confidence, and reliability. A man who remains calm, respectful, and secure in himself demonstrates the kind of stability that many women look for when deciding whether a relationship has long-term potential. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when she pulls away is not to panic, but to respond with patience, maturity, and quiet confidence.